Welcome to week 2 that is focused on research proposals, literature and contextual reviews, and how critical evaluation provides a key aspect of the rigour that must accompany all research. Unpacking the research proposal sees mention of research plans that will be particular to specific institutions but have essential template elements that are designed to outline the scale and scope of research proposals. And they tease out as many specifics as possible in the earliest stages of formulating the aims and objectives of your research. This week there's also some nice attention paid to the important distinctions between aims and objectives when it comes to research proposals. Hazeman and Maef are again quoted, this time in relation to identification of a research problem and the posing of research questions. In practice-led research, they state there is an emphasis on how formulation of the research problem, the research question, or the research proposition arises out of the ambiguity that often accompanies the impetus for the research. And this connects to it being what they describe as deeply emergent in the practice-led researcher. And this emergent nature is therefore dependent on heightened reflexivity in the practice-led researcher. This level of reflexivity is tied to what I've previously stressed is the elevated role that process has in practice-based researchers. This means paying close attention to your internal critical and creative processes and how they map to external processes or the creative mechanisms accompanying the research and particular creative practice you are engaged in. Understanding and articulating your process through heightened reflexivity is key to moving your process beyond the intuitive, the innate, and tacit levels into something that resembles and can be communicated for the purposes of traditional research. The activity for this week in your workbook asks you to apply some of the points about research questions and research propositions to your own research. If you're not actually conducting high degree research, then try applying these principles to another research project you are planning or engaged in. Section G addresses the distinctions and basis of a literature review as opposed to a contextual review. Now, each of you will probably have had experience with literature reviews and understand their basis as extending from annotated bibliographies. As mentioned in the content, the format for a contextual review is arrived at in close consultation with your supervisors. But essentially it serves the same purpose as a literature review, but draws on other practice-based works and various forms of creative examples that demonstrates your awareness of similar or related works that have a bearing on your own practice and how it is driving your research. Like the literature review, a contextual review ensures you are engaged in a dialogue with these other examples of creative works, as well as the practitioners behind them, because they are each engaged in your topic in a variety of different but relevant ways. The HDR candidates pursuing practice-led research that I have supervised usually conduct both a literature and contextual review. And while it is important to separate them, since the literature review is aimed at the exegesis, while the contextual review is aimed at the practice-related elements and outcomes, ultimately they end up complementing each other and provide a thorough analysis and overview of key texts, authors, works, and practitioners that are in your field and that you are essentially in dialogue with. By the end of week 2, ensure you have completed the readings, engaged in some online discussions, and completed activities 4 to 7 in your workbook, as well as the week 2 quiz. I hope you enjoy all the content that week 2 has to offer, and I'll see you again next week.